All right, so today I'm jumping on real quick to talk about coffee. It came up in a post that we were talking about earlier this week about goals for the week or what have you. And so the question is coffee good? Is it bad? What's too much? How do we, or what can we put in it? What can we not? Well, good news is for those coffee lovers out there, like me, coffee has a lot of health benefits. It is rich in antioxidants. Some studies show that it can lower diabetes, lower the risk of getting diabetes, lower risk of heart disease. It's also, because it reduces inflammation as well, it's also linked to better muscle recovery, digestive health. So there's a lot of benefits to coffee. A lot of times it's what we put in it that creates an issue, and also the volume of coffee that we drink can cause an issue. I'll talk about that in a second. So what do we put in it? Well, hopefully by now you know or have an understanding of caramel. It really is like, again, choices are choices, and this is what I always preach applies for everything. So what do you want to align with? If you want to align with a leaner body and optimal health, it's to the degree in which you want to align with that even impacts your coffee choices, right? So like Starbucks, caramel frappuccinos, caramel macchiatos, especially the specialty drinks that they come out with that they give to kids. Oh my gosh. But even like the norm person going in and doing, caramel frappuccinos or whatever the case may be, or any kind of the syrups added, it adds tons of calories, tons of sugars. So just be knowledgeable, right? I'm not saying like don't ever have a caramel macchiato if you want to have it as one of your treats or what have you, but if you're having them on a regular basis, and you are on this health and fitness journey and you'd like to change up your waistline, then that would be one thing you could look at, right? So just be your own advocate. You can like Google search the nutrient value of the Starbucks, right? Now, when you're at home, what's okay to put in it? Well, again, going in line with how closely do you want to align with optimal health? The reason I say that is up until maybe 5 years ago or so, I was still also drinking non-dairy creamers, right? And I was totally one of those people that was like, I might be drinking coffee just so I can have the non-dairy creamer, right? And then I realized doing some research that there's so many chemicals and additives and just things that don't belong in our body in those non-dairy creamers, so that I decided to eliminate that because I really want to optimize health. I want to be, strong and kicking until I'm, 80, 90 years old and fully functioning and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not perfect, but I do try and minimize the obvious things. And then, it's give and take. So anyway, non-dairy creamers, not a great option. I ultimately converted to just black coffee. Yes, it is a switch, but black coffee with some stevia. Stevia at the moment is still believed to be just a natural alternative and a root that is broken down into powder form. And the reason I say at the moment is because they originally thought Splenda and Equal were okay too. But the last couple of years, stevia has been a resource that people have been able to use. People will ask really quickly on stevia, if you didn't know, you can either get the powdered form or even the liquid form at Trader Joe's, Clark's, and I'm not sure if Whole Foods or Sprouts has it, but there's also flavored liquid stevias that you can get, so you can change it up that way. So people will ask, like, what about coconut oil? You could totally put in a little bit of coconut oil or coconut milk in moderation. I would just caution you, one, coconut oil, if you did not know, Nico is going to have a day right now. If you did not know, coconut oil is really can affect some people's digestion. Also, the whole idea of this bulletproof coffee where you're putting in a lot of heavy fats, it does work well for some people. Other people, it doesn't. It depends on how your body responds to processing fat. For me, I'm one of the ones, I tried it for a while, and it was not working for me in terms of my waistline. Nico wants to say hi today, apparently. Where coffee becomes a problem is that coffee is part of our, it's one of the factors that create a fight or flight response in our body. Fight or flight is a natural response that is built into our system, hardwired to be able to react, survive, run when we need to. It's that determination of like, okay, here's this stressor, what do I need to do about it? And the more of that we have going on in our life, the more it adversely affects our overall health, right? I think we know that high stress can cause high blood pressure. It can be related to so many adverse effects, including really what is I want to say almost minimal in comparison, but still not fun, adrenal fatigue. And so all of these stressors, all of these stressors, life stressors, and then as we're drinking the coffee, it creates that fight or flight response, and our fight or flight response in our body signals our body to shut down non-essentials. So whereas like coffee in moderation can actually also help with digestive health, but when we're drinking too much of it, especially if there is a lot of life stressors going on, for one, when we're drinking too much of it, the more we drink it, the more our body becomes dependent on it as a source of energy. Whereas non-coffee drinkers studies have shown, have a more balanced source of energy throughout the day. So that's first and foremost. And then when we are constantly drinking it throughout the day, not only does our body become dependent on that, but it creates this fight or flight response. And when we have fight or flight responses happening all around us, if it's a stressful time at work, if it's, even we're getting stressed out because we're traffic or we're commuting or what have you, when we have all of those going on, coffee just adds to it. And so to the rate in which we're having more coffee, that's just more adding. It's kind of like pebbles, right? If this was a foundation, every life stressor, it creates a compound effect on our body. Does that make sense? And so if coffee is just one of those, the more coffee we have, the more it compounds on top of that. So someone that has it sounds crazy, but someone that is either relatively peaceful and not going through a stressful season, and or they just have a way of dealing through life peacefully, then they aren't going to be as affected from a fight or flight response system way by that, like if they drink coffee throughout the day. Does that make sense? Versus someone that maybe is going through a very stressful season already, and or they're just high anxiety or propensity to get stressed out over traffic or kids or whatever. If they're drinking coffee all throughout the day, they're going to have a different overall compound effect. Does that make sense? And so when we are in this place of fight or flight, in a constant state of fight or flight over time, it shuts down those non-essentials. It also puts a lot of pressure on our adrenals, and it can cause what's called adrenal fatigue. Now that's a whole nother topic, and I want to try and keep these kind of short in segments, because adrenal fatigue, I will just end with this. It's not something that's recognized by most modern medicine doctors, or mainstream or Western medicine. So you would have to be able to go to a naturopath. I can tell you from personal experience, and my body shutting down a couple years ago now, it's a very real thing. But my point being that is you really have to be your own judge as to once you know what coffee is healthy, right, for you and align with your overall health goals, then you can decide how much is too much for you. And it's just being aware. And sometimes what would help is, try what is a good idea every once in a while. If you feel like you might be drinking too much, or if you feel like it might be adding, it will be a hard transition to take it out. I definitely was drinking coffee throughout the day a couple of years ago. And I still, when I went through adrenal fatigue, I took all the caffeine out. I was desperate to do anything to feel better. And it does definitely create a sense of, once you get past that initial week or two, it creates a sense of natural energy, and I did feel like I had better energy flow throughout the day. I am back to coffee. I have I love coffee, and it's just my cup of black coffee in the morning, and sometimes a coffee in the afternoon. My point being is, you almost have to be your own advocate. So what 3 cups of coffee to one person per day might be totally fine, not causing any issues for them, whereas 3 cups is just, to another person who's already stressed out and already like this, is actually just adding to the problem. So I hope that helps. If you do have any questions, or I didn't articulate something well, or you have a follow-up question, just post them up below. Bye.